Thank you for your support for my work. Please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon if you haven't. Also hit the like button for YouTube algorithm. And let me know what you think of the video in the comment section below. Lastly, please share love of this content with the world. Oh, by the way, you can read the timestamp inside the description below and follow me on social media. Arigato. This is Songwriters Room, and I'm your host, Tomoko. Today's guest is Dirk K. Dirk K is an accomplished guitarist from Germany, currently living in Las Vegas. His career began in the early 1990s, releasing 17 CDs as a recording artist on Sony Records, Bellaphone Records, Fuzzy Music, and now on his own indie label, Deep Records. In addition, he recorded 12 CDs with original projects such as Lockout Station, Quartet Equinox, Das Überschau.
Wow,
Did I say it right?
That was very good.
Okay, great. Acoustic Journey, etc. And more. He opened up for Sonny Rollins at the Liège Jazz Festival in Belgium, as well as for Al Jarreau in Southern California. He toured America and Europe with his band featuring trumpeter Randy Brecker and saxophonist Andy Middleton and pianist Alan Pasqua. He appeared at Schmidt. I need your help. This is German. I can't pronounce it. TV show.
Schmiteinander.
Schmiteinander.
Nice.
A TV show hosted by Harold Schmidt in Germany. It's like a David Letterman show in Germany. Big time. He performed the national anthem for the LA Lakers at the Staples Center, receiving a Shaq Hero Award by Shaquille O'Neal. German TV ZDF made a documentary about his life in the US in 1997. He performed and recorded with Peter Erskine from Weather Report. And big fan also, harmonica and toots,
Tielemans.
Dave Reckel, Terry Lynn Carrington, great female drummer, Gary Meek, Rick Brown, Paul Taylor, who's also living in Las Vegas, Eric Marianzo, Al Turner, and many more. His newest endeavor, Selfie Nation, combines DJ beats, jazz, and Latin grooves. You can check out his music on dirkk.com. We will pick 10 winners to receive the free download of his latest CD, Cosmic Boombox, when you message me through my website, tomokomusic.com, and let me know what part of the show you liked. So can I get a whoop whoop? So, ladies and gents, please welcome Dirk K.
Wow, that was awesome. And thanks so much for trying to pronounce all those German names. I really appreciate it.
Oh my God, that was a real test.
Yes.
You know, I became an instant fan when I first saw you perform. Your guitar is so crisp, clear, and sexy. Can you give us a little, some like 15 seconds so we can get a little taste of your beautiful sound, please?
Let's do it. I just happen to have my guitar right here. So.
I know, right? Stop it. Your sound is so relaxing and pleasant. You remind me of Earl Klugh a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Big fan.
Then at the same time, I can hear influence of sexy, funky, Latin flavor at the same time. So that's what I love about your guitar in the first place. You also play flamenco and rumba too, right?
Yeah, I really cover a lot of things from what you said, flamenco style playing, Brazilian style playing, And also I play obviously jazz. So I just kind of combine all those styles in my compositions, also in my music overall. So.
Mm-hmm. So who's your biggest influence?
When I was 13, I started taking lessons, and the first thing I was exposed to was Wes Montgomery and George Benson. And I want to say George Benson was pretty much my go-to guy for
of course
for years. And then, of course, I listened to Coltrane, Parker, Lee Ritenour, Pat Metheny. Also not just guitar players, as I said, also Coltrane or Michael Brecker. Everything has a certain standard and is good. And I like melodic music. I can listen to other things, but that's where I'm kind of tended to if I go to listen to stuff.
So you did a lot in Germany. What brought you to America?
It was kind of interesting because the first album I released in Germany, which you mentioned earlier, on Bellaphon Records, which is a major record label, and we featured Toots Thielemans and Randy Brecker on this album, as well as several other amazing musicians. And people told me, you sound too American. So I was talking at some point to a big record label, EMI, and they were saying, you know what, we really don't have a way to export your music. We only import this kind of music. And then I was kind of, stuck there for a minute, and I was like, well, I guess I got to move or I do something else. So I ended up moving to LA, and one of the reasons was that I put my second album out, and it was produced by Peter Erskine on his label Fuzzy Music, and he was about to release it as one of his first batch on his brand new label. So I was super excited, and I said, well, we got to move. So there you go.
Well, that kind of resonates with me because everybody told me that I need to go to America.
Right.
But Japanese is totally different from USA. But I thought in Germany or Europe is big about jazz. So what's the difference, difference between Germany and in America?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of differences, but they really appreciate American jazz music. So if you go see, that's the funny thing. See, I live here now. I'm from Germany, but now I'm able to go back to Germany and tour. Which, we actually going to have, if the Corona gods will have it, we have a tour in February and March going back to Europe with Steve Ferroni, Dave Inamin, and Dave Siegel. Hopefully in February and March, if it's possible. So. But because I live here and I produce my music here and I'm able to record and get my stuff on the radio, that I can go back and then actually tour in Germany. So if you live in Germany, they're just producing different type of music, which I wasn't really interested in. Not saying it's bad or different. It's just different styles. Like they have their folk music, they have their kind of country music, but they also have, of course, classical music. That's the German thing. But I wasn't interested in that kind of music. So my heroes, everything I was listening to, they live either in New York or LA. I liked the weather better in LA. So I stayed in LA for a long time before I moved to Las Vegas. And it's still great weather in Las Vegas. So.
Right. That's interesting. So the people there love jazz. But it works better when you tour from America back to Germany.
Yeah, so when I used to live in my hometown, which is Aachen, which is close to Cologne area.
You say what, Aachen?
Aachen, yeah, it's kind of a tough one. Yes, hello. It's not a disease, I promise. Anyway, well, you play in the same clubs all the time, but you are not able to get out of it. You cannot just tour, because you're just known in your little facility, in your little group of people. And so if you want to expand that, you literally have to move. There's no other way to do it.
Do they have a lot of jazz festivals?
Yes, I mean, there's more jazz clubs in Germany than probably in the United States. And
right.
I mean, my hometown had probably 4 or 5 jazz clubs. They still probably have at least the same amount. And there's festivals everywhere, mostly summer festivals, of course, but they have year-long festivals. But also kind of interesting that they categorize the music more. Like they have, festival, they're more like avant-garde jazz or experimental music festivals, which I have barely find in the United States. But then you got stuff where they mix, let's say, a David Sanborn with Al Jarreau and maybe an R&B act. Like, for example, I saw one time Chick Corea and the next band was Joe Cocker. So they mix it up a little bit, so make it interesting. But the festivals are huge, and there's some of the world's biggest festivals are like Den Haag Jazz Festivals in Netherlands, but I think they draw 90,000 people, and it's just ginormous opportunities. If you come from here, I want to say never existed. There's only a handful of German artists who actually were able to tour a little bit, but it's really not very common.
You used to perform a lot, and now how have you shifted in terms of work?
Until March, I literally performed 6-7 nights a week in mostly Las Vegas. I did some touring, sometimes LA, but I live here, so most of my work is here. I work with Cirque du Soleil a little bit, all kinds of different outlets. But I also do produce music. I also work as a recording engineer. So right now, that's more what I'm doing. So I work with the theater here in Las Vegas, do live sound. So they kind of ask me to stick around until they open up again and kind of maintain and work on their sound system. So that's kind of an intermediate work for me right now. So I'm fixing up sound systems and installing line arrays and that kind of stuff. Then I also produce an album right now for a singer here in Las Vegas, Kai Brandt, which we just did the recording with Peter Erskine last week in Los Angeles. So I kind of keep still going a little bit back and forth. So I keep a little bit busy, but it's nothing like it was before. I had maybe 3 gigs in the last 5 months in terms of outside of my house, so.
Yeah.
But I think that's even 3 more than most people have. So
that's true.
Unfortunately, so it's really hard, and nobody knows where it's going either. So it's very interesting.
Right. But you had some hits in your country before, and right now everybody's streaming music. How are you making money through digital music?
When it started in March, I was one of the first guys who jumped on the train and do live streaming on Facebook and Twitch, and later on YouTube. And I did really well because not a whole lot of people did it yet. So my fans and people who follow me worldwide really came through and supported me a lot, because in the first 2 weeks, we were all just freaking out. Everything got canceled, like literally every single gig I had. And so that worked out pretty well. Of course, and then my CDs and my albums are all available on the usual outlets, from Spotify to Apple Music to Pandora, all those typical things, YouTube, wherever you find music. CD sales, that's a thing of the past pretty much.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I used to live in LA, and we would sell up to 500-600 CDs on shows per week. And those days are unfortunately long over. If I sell 1 or 2, I'm already, wow, okay, that's great. But yeah, so it's all digital now, and it's all on the internet.
Yeah. Okay, so you create beautiful music, and you're in the studio right there. So let's get to the craft of songwriting. I hope you enjoyed part 1. Please continue to watch part 2 about songwriting as well. And don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell to get notified about new videos of Songwriters Room, my new music, or Japanese series. Arigato!